Hi, it's Ms. Parrott, and this video is about classifying viruses. In it, we're going to talk about just some virus basics and then look at a few different ways to classify them based on their shape, structure, and hosts. So, viruses are very unique because they're not actually alive, even though they are organic systems that depend on living things to continue to perpetuate themselves and their copies. They're not alive for one main reason, and that's that they don't have cells. There are other reasons, but their building blocks are not cells. They are made of two major ingredients, and that is a capsid protein on the outside, represented here in purple, and then either DNA or RNA, so some kind of nucleic acid, either single or double-stranded on the inside. So that's one way to classify these as either a DNA virus or an RNA virus, a single-stranded virus, or a double-stranded virus. Viruses are very, very small. They're 1,000 times smaller than a bacteria, and bacteria are about 50 times smaller than, say, an animal cell, the kinds of cells that you and I are made of. Viruses are unique because they reproduce not on their own, right? A living thing can reproduce, but they're not alive. What they do is they hijack cells of what are called their host organism. That's the organism they're going to infect, and that can be any living thing. And what it does is it takes over that cellular machinery and makes it produce viral proteins, so more of this virus protein, and viral either DNA or RNA. So, right, DNA and RNA is just genetic instructions for the making of proteins. And that's all the ingredients that a virus is. And our cells are made perfectly to do that. So when a virus infects a host, it takes over its cells, it makes more of it themselves, it makes copies, it explodes the cell, they go out and find new cells to infect. That's called a viral infection. Viral infections are different from bacterial infections in that they can impact your whole body and that you can have whole body symptoms, whereas a bacterial infection, say for instance, if you cut your hand and you get a bacterial infection on your hand, it's gonna hang out like just in that area, and that is the area that's gonna become red and inflamed and maybe like get pus or something nasty if you don't take care of it. Right? A bacterial disease of your digestive system might just stick with that organ system or a few organs. But viruses can cause symptoms throughout your whole body. Like the flu virus, right? You might get that by, if it's on a surface and you touch it and maybe you like rub your nose or your face or something and that flu virus gets in you, it's not just going to infect your nose, it's going to go into your whole body, through your bloodstream, all throughout, and you're going to have those high fever, super achy, terrible feeling symptoms throughout your entire body. So that's like extra crummy. And one of the super bad parts of viral infections is that there's usually no cure. The only thing to do is to prevent viral infections by getting vaccines. Vaccines are just dead or weakened forms of a virus that get injected or maybe sprayed into your body, and your own personal immune system will start to develop a response to it. It will build antibodies and other things that are going to help you be able to fight that virus if a live form of that virus enters into you. So now let's look at other ways to classify viruses. So besides their DNA, you can look at the shape of their protein capsid. So there's 4 types: helical, icosahedral or polyhedral, spherical, and complex. Now, helical, what I want you to think of, a helix, just like DNA, double helix is a twisted like spiral. So when you hear helix, think spiral. So this is really, it looks like a cylinder, but it's, you know how a slinky goes around and around? It's one long wire and it goes around and around, but when you like close it, it's a solid cylinder. That's what a helical virus is like. But instead of a slinky that has the metal wire, it's like beads of protein, beads of capsid proteins that are going to form that. Now, most plant viruses are helical viruses. And an example here is the tobacco mosaic virus, which infects the tobacco plant. And mosaic, just like the art mosaic, it makes it look like it has spots all over it. Another example is icosahedral, which instead of this being a situation where you have a lot of like small pieces, the protein pieces are triangles. And they are identical triangles that fit together to make sometimes like a 20-sided figure. So it's not quite a smooth sphere. It is an icosahedral, kind of think like a soccer ball. You know, it has like pentagons and hexagons on it, right, which are flat 2D things, but you stick them together in just the right way and it kind of makes a spherical shape. So that's what icosahedral is, and inside of there is going to be your DNA or RNA. Then, and an example here is the polio virus and even the common cold, which is rhinovirus. Those are icosahedral types. Then there are complex viruses. This is a bacteriophage in which it's got multiple. So in this one, you have an icosahedral like head, then a helical structure, you know, almost like a neck, and then you have these tails or legs that are made of protein as well. So this is like a little combo platter. And then there's spherical, and an example of this is HIV. Now, what this is, it's actually a lipid membrane that goes around either a helical or icosahedral virus. And these are actually super sneaky and good at infecting cells because the membrane here around the virus, around the capsid, will fuse just ever so gently with the membrane of the host cell, and it makes it so much easier just to drop that virus right on in the host cell. So spherical cells are super good at infecting host cells. So you can, this is one way, looking at shape, of how to identify them. The easiest and our last way that we're going to look at to classify viruses is by their host type. There are animal viruses that infect animals. For example, HIV, flu, common cold, polio. Plant viruses that attack plant cells, cucumber mosaic virus, tobacco mosaic virus, all kinds of things. I mean, for every plant there's viruses that attack it. And then bacteriophages, which attack bacteria and archaea, for example, spiroviidae and myovirus. Those are just two like real life examples of bacteriophages. And you can even see the word like virus in there. And spiroviidae, it's like in the name to let you know about part of the shape. So those are the few ways to classify viruses and some simple background about them.